Okay.
Alright.
Welcome to season 1. Woo! This is so exciting.
We just feel so much like professional now.
Yeah.
I feel like the last 3 episodes were our experiment curve.
For sure.
And now we're
here. We're
Feels
in
crazy.
my new little home, which is so crazy because I just graduated college.
She's an Ohio State alum
I
now.
know, it's so weird. It still is not like fully sunk in yet. I don't think it will for a while.
It might not.
I don't know. I feel like not until the fall.
Yeah.
At least when I'm like, okay, everyone's going back to school, and I'm not. 'Cause summer, it's like I've had summers off for however many years, you know. But here we are.
Adulting, living the life, doing the thing.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. What's your update for the summer before we launch into the content for this episode?
I am just nannying and doing this, and we're going to talk about rest today, but just trying to create rhythms that are slow this summer.
Yeah.
Are kind of like my 3 main focuses until I figure out what I want to do and explore, and a bunch of shadowing opportunities this summer that I'm kind of gonna do. And yeah, it's gonna be
So fun.
good summer. Not really traveling a whole lot, which is sad, but also I think will just be very good, like small trips.
Yeah.
Which I'm excited for because it's like be home more, and then it's not these big drastic like I'm gone for a week, you know. Which I'm excited for. I've never had a summer where I've not gone on a long trip, so
yeah, which is
it'll
so.
be
I don't know. Yeah, I don't think I have either.
yeah, it's
an
like
adjustment.
very different. Yeah, but I'm
Yeah.
excited. I think
Yeah.
it'll just be different.
I think it'll be
Yeah.
a good summer of just like, okay, how do you cultivate home well and be where your feet are and allow home to form you and grow you just as much as all the different like travel experiences,
For
right?
sure. Yeah.
Because I'm in the same boat, so it's like
Yeah.
weird to think, yeah, I'm not gonna like be in Italy for a month. I'm not gonna be in LA for 3 months. I'm not, I'm gonna be home, steady,
For
stewarding
sure.
what is here in front of me. It's a new kind of feeling and weird, but yeah.
What are your plans? Let's hear an update, Abby.
Well, my parents are building a house and it should be done at the end of May.
That's so exciting.
So that's just really fun to like decorate and get like into interior design.
It's so fun. It's so fun.
It's so fun because like Katie and I, it's just kind of funny timing because Katie started doing all of the stuff for her this apartment and like correlating with the time of me starting to think about it. And honestly, like I need to show you my Pinterest board because I think of like, wow, it looks like my style. And I'm like, I wonder why. We spent 2 weeks together in Italy.
And now we have like the exact same style. We like all the same things.
Yeah,
it's like we're the same person or something.
Bound to happen.
Yeah.
But I love it. No, seriously, I'm like, I keep
so
seeing things and I'm like, Katie would have that. Katie would also have that.
That's hilarious.
Really into stripes.
Yeah.
Katie's got all the striped towels. Like,
yeah.
So that's just really fun. Stressful at the same time. So kind of learning how to balance like my stress and family stress and being home and all of that. But at the same time, I have a nonprofit, so I'll be working on building that, building this podcast. And then I'm doing a part-time job with this nonprofit called the U.S. Center for Mental Health and Sport. And their mission is just amazing. They work on mental health coaching for athletes, and their big thing is providing programming to support the parents and the coaches to be able to create atmospheres that are actually conducive to healthy mental health for all the way from youth sport up until like NFL and Olympic athletes. So really
so
cool
beautiful.
God moment. I met him while we were in Italy, the co-founder, and so just a cool thing and reminder of God being like, this summer is intentional, and I'm intentionally forming you in all these ways, and I need you to stay home and kind of focus on that. So yeah, that's like a long-winded update, but it's really fun and exciting.
So many exciting things.
So many exciting
things.
Yeah. But with that and our update, I think this first episode, we really wanted to talk about rest because I think that's something that's both on our minds from, or on both of our minds from being in Italy
Yep.
just 2 months ago and experiencing new rhythms, and then also walking into the summer
Yeah.
of being home. How do we build rest
Yeah.
here? So, what are your thoughts on
Oh my
rest, Katie?
gosh. It's so funny because this is like my favorite topic ever. Because I feel like I'm just constantly in a space of trying to have a posture of how do I rest or
Mhm.
like, yeah. Um, but I think it has just been very interesting coming home from Italy. Like, so much of who I am, I think, changed.
Mm.
Like, that sounds very dramatic, but I think going to Italy, like, genuinely changed my perspective on so many things, and one of them was I was just kind of really fascinated by how they operate,
Mm.
how they sit down to intentionally eat every meal, um, and how they, like, don't take coffee to go, and how
Mhm.
they take breaks in the afternoon, and they sleep in, and
Yeah.
something that one of the biggest things that I have kind of, like, recognized about
Mhm.
myself is I used to wake up at, like, 4:35, 5:30, like,
Early bird gets the
ridiculous.
worm.
I mean, like, ridiculous, but I also, like, I've always been an early bird, but waking up, like, that early, like, my body just adapts, and so I cannot set an alarm, and I'll still be up at that time, but I was going to bed later and was still waking up at that time and was just exhausted, and so I, like, had a really humbling moment of, like, this is just pride. Like,
Mm.
getting up early is prideful for me, which
Mm.
is crazy because I feel like in our society, it would be like, "Oh, like, you get up so early, like, that's so cool, like, that's so good for you." But it was to the point where it was like, if I wasn't getting up early and achieving and getting my workout in and getting X amount of steps and, like, I mean, I was just so exhausted
Mhm.
because I wasn't actually truly rested. I
Mm.
wasn't getting enough sleep to operate well in all capacities of my life. And when you don't sleep, that impacts every single part of your life. So,
Yeah.
um, I think that was kind of like a really big awakening that I like, kind of a rude awakening that I had one day. I was like, this is just like, I just feel like this is pride. So
Mm.
that's been like really cool to kind of work through. But also, I'm just in a really big season of transition,
Mhm.
and it feels like rest is just something that I want to be at the center of this new season of my life. When you
Mhm.
graduate college, it's like part of you is like missing because I've known school for 16, 17, 18 years of my
Yeah.
life. And I think it's easy to fill this time with doing things or not sitting in uncomfortable challenges or having time and space to just not do anything
Mhm.
and to just sit in the presence of the Lord and be present here with people and not be on my phone and things like that.
Yeah.
So I think, yeah, in this new season, there are just a lot of like different ways to prioritize rest that are really uncomfortable.
Yeah. Oh, that's so good. So
Yeah,
good.
it's crazy. I mean, I just like got slapped in the face a little bit, but
Yeah, yeah, gotta
I'm,
do that.
yeah, I know he's real good at that,
It's really
but
like, "Wake
um,
up!"
yeah. So
Yeah.
but I'm excited at the same time. Like, I think it's cool to like have you be home this summer
Mhm.
and me be more home this summer and truly just be where our feet are. I think
Mhm.
there's an element where like traveling is so beautiful and it's
Mhm.
such a gift to be able to do that. But it doesn't allow you to like always just sit
Yeah.
and be still. And I think that that is like a root of rest that is
Mhm.
often missed.
Mhm.
And that's how we like truly find soul rest.
Yeah.
is being in the quiet space. Like Jesus often withdrew, like to the mountaintop with
Mm.
nobody around him to just sit and pray and be with the Father. And like that to me, I think has become my definition of rest is the quiet
Mm.
space. Um, but what does rest mean to you? And how do you plan to like implement rest or
Mhm.
prioritize that this summer with moving into a new home,
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
being home in general, but then also having a new job, not traveling for work a little
Yeah.
bit,
Like
but then
small little
yeah,
things.
like
Um, I think I think the Lord has really done a lot within me when it comes to rest the last few years.
yeah,
Um, I am a very action oriented person, if you can't tell. And so
we had no idea.
I tend to get an idea, and then I'm like, all right, Lord, let's like go do this thing. And I've been challenged a bit on that. I last year um, got introduced to somebody who was a mentor to provide advice, and he was like, you need to just focus on like one thing.
Hmm.
And something within me kind of really wrestled with that, because I think so often our culture is like, you just need to pick a lane and just that's it. Just that one lane and that's all you can do. You know, you grow up being asked, what do you want to be when you grow up? And it's like a doctor, astronaut, lawyer, whatever. And so then you're like, all right, well, you pick
Hmm.
something and that's the path to go
Yeah.
do that thing. But I have realized I'm not wired like that. And so hearing that advice to me, it didn't resonate as
Yeah.
advice. It kind of resonated as like a little bit of like an attack or conviction.
Yeah.
And that was right before I went into my summer in LA. And at that point, I think that advice not just hit a nerve, but I think it was the Lord almost preparing me for what that summer was going to
Hmm.
be, in the sense of you need to start thinking about rest so you don't burn out,
Hmm.
but not necessarily in the sense of you need to just stop absolutely everything you're
Hmm.
doing.
Hmm.
And so going out to LA, I may have mentioned this in one of our like first few little episodes, but my mentor, I got there like day one, and he's like, you could be professionally accomplished in 3 to 6 months, but you'll be personally destroyed if you continue at the rate you're going. It's like
Hmm.
you need to empty your
Hmm.
backpack of dreams
Hmm.
and desires at the Lord's feet and not touch it until He says it's time. And I was like, not what I came out here to hear
Hmm.
at all. I came out here to learn business and to do things. And now I'm being told to kind of retreat into the wilderness like Jesus did. And
Hmm.
when you said that, like, reminded me, I have told people since coming back from that summer last year of, I felt like the Lord took my spirit and put it in the wilderness without
Yeah.
me necessarily having that decision or that choice. Because He knew if He gave me that choice, I wouldn't choose that. And I needed to learn
Yeah.
the benefits of being in the wilderness and what that stillness and that rest with
Yeah.
Him was, in order to be able to choose it on my own.
Hmm.
And so that summer was a big summer of just like walking on the beach and being with Him and kind of learning, okay, what does it look like to have things that I am involved in and doing, and I am very active, and it was one of like the more active summers I've had post, sport life,
Yeah.
and yet was the most rested summer because of
Hmm.
where I was
Yeah.
spiritually. My spirit was in the wilderness with Him, even
Yeah.
though my body was doing work still. And I
Yeah.
think for me that's what rest has become for me, is more of this intentional decision to lean back in His arms throughout everything
Yeah.
and operate from that place of true complete
Yeah.
dependency. And so I literally was just asked yesterday, I was telling someone like an update about everything that has been going on and I've been
Yeah.
doing, and he's like, so you never slow down? And
Hmm.
I was like, I mean, not in the way I think our culture defines it,
Yeah.
no. I do when the Lord whispers you need to pull back.
Yeah.
And so I've learned kind of how to adopt that
Wow.
Italian rhythm of, I'm going to
Yeah.
walk slower to
Hmm.
places. I'm going to
Yeah.
eat undistracted. I'm going to spend my evenings in community with people. I'm going
Hmm.
to
Yeah.
my weekends are for play. And that's another thing too, is I think for me, being somebody with a higher capacity who is just insanely curious about absolutely everything. Once
Everything.
literally everything. I have a list of things I'd want to learn in my lifetime. Um, and who is a creative. So the thing is learning about what it means to be a creative. These are like multiple different topics, kind of all at the same time, but a creative, when they're not creating externally, they create internally. And so I need to be able to separate myself from
Mm.
these internal worlds that I'm building. And that's why I tend to do so much externally,
Yeah.
because it kind of takes me out of my head.
Mm.
If I don't, like, for me, I can't just sit in
Yeah.
silence, because then I'm literally like creating
Creating.
fantasy worlds. I'm
Yeah.
building ideas in my head. That's why I have
Mm-hmm.
ideas,
Yeah.
when I drive, I'm thinking.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's even an aspect of, okay, how do you then
Yeah.
turn that, maybe not from a like I have to perform and create and like build and do all
Mm-hmm.
these things all the time, but why don't we go play?
Yeah.
Like, what's something fun?
Mm-hmm.
Uh, getting your
Yeah.
hands messy and
Yeah.
clay and all of that kind of
Mm-hmm.
thing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
a lot of thoughts, because
Mm-hmm.
the Lord's been doing a lot with me
Yeah.
about rest.
Mm.
But I think those big ones are intentionally learning, what does rest mean for you and the way the Lord's wired you? What does stillness and
Yeah.
quiet mean in a world that is so overstimulated? Because
Mm-hmm.
that's another thing that I am actively trying to
Mm-hmm.
figure out.
Yeah.
Um, and then
Yeah.
what does play look like as a form of
Mm.
rest, right?
So beautiful.
Um,
Yeah.
so those are kind of I could go deeper and
Yeah.
talk more about all of those things, but I think those are the first thoughts that
Yeah.
that I have for what he's doing
Mm-hmm.
currently.
It's so beautiful.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing. I love it. I think it's so interesting as you were talking too of just like I'm more introverted and
Mhm.
Abby's definitely more extroverted, and so it's so interesting to like hear your thoughts because things that you say I'm like, no, I want to like have alone time.
Yeah.
But I think something that really resonated with me that you had said was like people have become such a place of rest.
Mm,
And I think a misconception I had about rest was that rest is by yourself. You
mm.
can't do anything. You have to like sit like this,
Yeah.
and like not talk to anybody. Whereas like that just became isolation. And I never
Mm,
truly actually felt rested when that was happening because it
yeah.
was like I missed being around my friends. I missed being in community, but I was like, no, this is what society tells me is
Mm,
rest. It's laying in my bed and watching Netflix. And it's like you can still enjoy your life and feel rested, but
yeah.
it's the intention and the motive behind it of like, okay, like nannying has become so restful for me because it's like, well, if I'm running around like a chicken with my head cut off and I'm on my phone like trying to like communicate with something else and like multitasking
Mhm.
while doing some like 12 other things, like that's not restful. But it's like if I intentionally do one task at a time that I need to do, that then becomes rest because
Yeah.
it's not from a place of like this chaotic anxiousness,
Mhm.
but it's like, okay, how do I invite the Lord into the things that I'm doing?
Mhm.
And from there becomes a place of rest. And there are for
Yeah.
sure days where it's like, it's okay to like watch Netflix all day.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
okay to, but I think it's something, rest can become a lifestyle.
Mm.
It's not just like this one and done day
Mhm.
thing or it's one day out of the week. Again, this is all things that I'm like flushing out of my system.
Yeah.
It's like my nannying work can be restful,
Mhm.
but it's how I walk. There's a song
Mm.
by Mosaic, I think it's called Slower or something like that.
I love Mosaic. It's so
And
good.
one of the lines, it's on my door. It's like, it seems as though the slower I go, the faster I arrive.
Mm.
And that just like has hit home with me of like the slower I walk, the slower I eat, the slower I, like move through life, the slower I drive, the slower I operate, like I don't know. It's so interesting
Mm.
how the idea of slowness cultivates rest
Yeah.
too, you know,
Mm.
and intentionality in
Yeah.
being slow is so hard and countercultural,
So
but
countercultural. But that's the
so
way of Jesus,
important.
right?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I've heard when you were saying rest is a lifestyle, I've heard in the past, like, rest is simply just learning to operate from a sustainable pace.
Hmm.
And so
That's
is your
good.
lifestyle
Yeah.
conducive to sustaining you
Yeah.
in that pace, or are you going so fast that you're inevitably going to crash into the wall
Yep.
and not be able to get up and keep
Mhm.
going?
Yeah.
And I think I've experienced periods of burnout, like
Oh yeah.
fall semester even
Mhm.
was was a period of I was so self-sufficient
Yeah.
because things weren't going the way that I thought they were, and in my head that meant I had to fix it myself, that I neared burnout because I was not operating from that sustainable
Yep.
pace. So that's even another thing to think
Yep.
about is what does rest become and where does it
Yeah.
go when you're faced with something
Mhm.
that is out of the
Yeah.
norm or a
Yeah.
challenge or whatever? Are you able to still stay
Yeah.
with that sustainable pace
Mhm.
because that's your lifestyle, or does everything go up in
Yeah.
flames? And I think so often in our culture when we think about rest, it's like, oh, I get like one day
Yep.
and that's it. But then if I have a problem or a crisis, then I don't even get that day. So
Yep.
I am going nonstop because I
Yep.
have all these things I need to figure out and fix.
Mhm.
But how quickly are you going
Yeah.
to fix those
Yep.
things? You know?
Yeah.
So,
I think there's an element of noticing too, right? Like
mm-hmm,
I've experienced multiple seasons of burnout. I believe that's why I had ankle surgery last fall because
mm-hmm,
I was in a season where I was going way too fast. And I think I love the idea of sustainability because it's like, well, if you think about it, like if you're driving so fast, everything's blurry
mm,
and you can't actually notice things. And I think that like being able to walk sustainably in every season of life, granted, there are going to be busier seasons, but learning to notice, okay, this is coming up and it not being a crisis because you have capacity
yeah,
to be able to tend to that thing
mm-hmm,
that's coming up. Like being in like friendship relationships, even like daughter mother daughter relationships, like any type of relationship, you're walking and things are going to come up because we're broken
yeah,
humans, right? Or you're just going to have a bad day. And it's like, well, if you're moving in a pace that's sustainable and you can kind of like separate yourself from that, it creates room, right? To notice those things, become aware,
mm,
invite the Lord into that, right?
mm-hmm,
Healing in prayer, like invites it creates space for you
mm-hmm.
to grow as an individual too,
Oh yeah,
not in these like dramatic ways that are like I have to sit down and process this thing, which is something that I really struggled with. It was like, okay, I notice this about myself, but I'm so anxious and I'm going so
mm,
fast that like I have to have a full 24 hours to sit with this thought and I'm never going to touch it
hmm,
again. And it's like, well, if I just like had created space in every moment of my life to be like, hey, I'm noticing this. This is not a crisis because my nervous system isn't geeking out
yeah,
because I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm noticing this about myself. You know what I'm saying? Like,
mm,
you then have opportunity and space to be like, wow, okay, I'm noticing this about myself. That's not who I am. I'm going to
mm-hmm,
keep going. My life doesn't, is not on pause
yeah,
because of that
yeah,
topic or issue or, incident that comes up at work
mm-hmm,
or with a friend or with family or whatever it may
mm-hmm,
be. So it's
yeah,
so, yeah, I love that,
S-
that thought and idea of
yeah.
sustainability.
Sustainable, yeah,
Yeah.
sustainable play. Wow, sustainable
Words.
pacing. Um,
Yeah.
because I think that goes for like, and it makes me think when you were saying like when things keep coming up and you're like, oh, I gotta go pause and like work on this. Like that's constantly putting out fires,
Yep.
and that is so taxing on your nervous
Yep.
system to be constantly putting out those little
Mhm.
fires.
Yep.
And so, even just taking time to kind of take an inventory of your life and be like, okay,
Yeah.
where are all the fires that are currently happening that I feel like I'm constantly having to put out?
Yep.
And is there a way, well, one, have I invited the Lord into all those
Mhm.
places? But
Yeah.
two, you know, does my life allow room for that to kind of calm down? And instead of fires,
Yeah.
they're more like little blips in the
Yeah.
system that you can still walk through.
Mhm. Yeah.
Um, not a great
Yeah.
analogy, but, you know,
Mhm.
less crazy than a wildfire.
For sure.
And even something so simple that, like, I actually just had this conversation with my mom about the way our culture is so wired on overstimulation and constant 24/7 availability. Um,
Mhm.
within the context of our phones, right?
Yeah.
Like we're constantly getting notifications every day. I have probably 20 to 50 text messages at all times.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's also part of being an extrovert. So that's not the case for everybody. But I think it's becoming more common for people to have so many messages because
Mhm.
you just pick up a phone and
Yep.
shoot a quick text. But if you're constantly checking your phone to respond to these texts, you're never actually present with
Yep.
where you are. And so
Mm.
last summer, the Lord was very clear, you need to be where your feet are, you need to learn how to live in the tension. And for me, I like kind of cut off communication with home, which was unhealthy. And I went to an extreme level of I'm so overwhelmed with what the Lord is doing that I can't think
Mm.
about home on top of here.
Mhm.
And so that was something I had to work through. But those practices of staying off my phone and not, you know, I'm always on do not disturb. So if you text me and you see do not disturb, I promise I'll see it. I just can't have my phone constantly
Yep.
pinging. Um, and so
Mhm.
I'll even take time where, okay, I might check my phone in the morning and then again at night
Yep.
and then maybe sometime in the middle of the day. And
Mhm.
obviously urgent things I respond to, but
Yep.
I don't think we were ever meant to have this capacity or ability to respond 24/7
No.
because Jesus didn't. You
Yeah.
know, like he went and he would heal kind of one person at a time
Mhm.
in the Bible. Not that he didn't or couldn't do multiple, but
Yep.
he recognized the power of being present.
Mm.
And I think that was part of his sustainable pacing as he
Yep.
walked through life. And I
Mhm.
think it's a hard dichotomy within our culture right now because on one hand it makes you look really cool if you respond within seconds, right? Like the
Yep.
person receiving that text is like, wow, they really care.
Yep.
But what about the person you're actually at coffee with and you're checking your phone
Yep.
literally the entire time and then you're not present in that
Yep.
conversation? Or you're in a meeting and you're not present?
Yep.
Or you're in your classroom and you're not
Yeah.
paying attention? And so there's this constant trade off. And so that's been part of
Yeah.
learning rest for me too is I have to be more protective over
Mm.
my energy and
Yeah.
my focus
Yep.
and my output because if
Mm.
I'm constantly showing up for everybody 24/7, I'm never showing up well.
Yep.
Um, so that was just another
Mhm.
thing that sparked
Yeah.
is, you know, what I mean, that's a silly, not a silly example. I think it's a very real
Mhm.
example. But what other examples in
Yeah.
your life are putting out
Mm.
fires that you could kind of implement some really practical things
Yeah.
and say, okay, I'm gonna
Yeah.
implement a no phone day in the week. I'm going to implement I
Yeah.
only check social media
Mhm.
once a day or
Yeah.
those kinds of things,
Yeah.
right? And I think there are other
Yeah.
areas in your life that inventory could also be taken.
For sure.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
I love that. Something we had talked about on church on Sunday. Goodness gracious, I can't talk today. Um, was this idea of incarnation and how that's
mm.
like Latin for like in the flesh.
Mm.
And he like excarnation is not a word. I'm fully aware of this. But he or one of the pastors at my church was talking about excarnation and how Western culture has created this like excarnation. We're not in the flesh type of living where
mm.
Jesus was like in the flesh. We're getting in the game. And it's a whole long sermon, and I can tag it in the show notes. But it was really, really sweet because he essentially was like, when we are not when we are excarnated, when we are out of the flesh, when we are not present,
Mm-hmm.
when we are not getting in the game, when we're not helping the poor, when we're not, talking to the Lord, when we're not praying, when we're not
Mm-hmm.
getting involved, when we're not going to the people in the lowest of low places, when we're not inconveniencing ourselves because we want to be comfortable, like we are excarnating ourselves. We're not
Mm.
becoming, like we are not dying to our flesh.
Mm.
And dying to our flesh is actually being in the flesh because that's what Jesus came to do.
Mm.
And so, like, I think a piece of rest is that dying to yourself and like
Mm-hmm.
becoming inconvenienced to serve other people,
Yeah.
becoming inconvenienced and like not living this like fulfilling life that's I my life looks this certain way
Mhm.
because of XYZ, or I want it to look a certain way on social media. It's actually like bowing down low and getting dirty and getting on your hands and knees
Mhm.
and like being present with the Father and going to serve those who are actually in need and showing up for people
Yeah.
that are needy
Yeah.
and that actually like need to be in community.
Mhm.
Like going through this season of transition and like it's just a very lonely season. Like I'm 23. I've never lived really by myself before. I've lived with 7, 8, 4, 1 girl for the past like 5 years, and then was like obviously with my family before college.
Yeah.
And it's like living by yourself. It's like I need community, and I'm recognizing the importance of that,
Mm.
and how people are rest too.
Yeah.
And like being able to have capacity to show up for people comes with the ability to be present
Mhm.
and that actually being fulfilling. And I think the Bible is very clear that community and friendship is so important,
Mhm.
and that is something that needs to be prioritized like tenfold. Like that should be something that we prioritize. But I also think there's again time and space
Oh,
to
yeah.
spend time by yourself. But
Well, talk
again,
about solitude in the Bible as
yeah,
well. It's a both and.
yes, for sure. But
Yeah.
my perception of rest in this season have been flipped upside down by that. Like I love spending time like I've just found people I love spending time with, and
Mhm.
it's been so beautiful because it's like wow, I leave feeling so rested.
Yeah.
But I would sit by myself and I'm like, why do I not feel rested? Like I was restless rather.
Yeah.
And so it's interesting to notice that culture mindset that was
Mhm.
so ingrained in me. And I think observing that in the community in conversation in Italy and just watching people
Yeah.
talk for hours
I
was
love
so
Italy.
beautiful. Yeah, like it was the coolest experience
Mhm.
because I was just like, they're just so happy,
Mhm.
like,
Mhm.
and my phone is not going to fulfill anything. My phone, my computer, like, nothing is going to fulfill connection.
No.
Um, and that has just been something that's been very, very challenging
Mhm.
and uncomfortable for me learning about rest and just in a
Mhm.
different way. So,
Mhm. I think I can attest for both of us that
yeah.
like having our morning cappuccino and
It was the
brioche,
best.
and then we would finish it and we'd just sit there and we talk for another hour
Yeah.
plus. And I think we both left feeling like
So
just so
refreshed.
refreshed and rested and happy and joyful, and like we could go then conquer and take over the rest of the day, all the tasks that we had. But you don't like, bring cafe culture back. Where is
Yeah.
true, authentic European style cafe
Yeah.
culture?